Good evening and welcome to the June 8th, 2017 meeting of the Kern County Planning Commission, which I will call to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Mr. Louie?
Here.
Mr. Babcock?
Here.
Ms. Garcia?
Here.
Ms. Poole? Mr. Sprague? Mr. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Oviatt? Mr. Denny?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Thank you. Next item B is Commissioner member announcements or reports. Do we have any this evening? Nope. All righty. Next item is C, approval of the May 25th, 2017 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is D, cases withdrawn or requests for continuances. Mr. Murphy?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. This evening, we have one case that is on the cases withdrawn or request for continuance. That is case number 2, CUP number 5, map 7115. The applicant is Jeremy Lauer. The recommendation is, the project has been terminated by staff. And that completes the reading of items on request for continuance.
Thank you. Commissioners?
I'll move to continue item number 1.
It's removed.
Excuse me, remove item number 2.
It's terminated by staff.
Mr. Chairman, County Council can weigh in, but given the fact that it's been terminated by staff, I don't believe there is any action your commission can take on the project tonight.
There is no action?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make note that Ms. Poole has joined us this evening for the record. Next item would be E, which would be our consent calendar for this evening. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These are items scheduled before your Planning Commission, which are being recommended for approval by staff, and the applicant has been informed of any special conditions and has no objection. The hearing on these items may be expedited if no member of the commission or audience wishes to comment or ask any questions on the case. At this time, we have 10 cases that are on the consent calendar tonight, although staff has heard from 2 individuals in the audience and will be recommending that at least two of the cases, be pulled off the consent calendar. The first case that is on consent is case number 1. This is conditional use permit number 19, map 143-18. The applicant is Watts Chopping. The project itself is located at 13627 Cavalier Road in the Bakersfield area. Your commission should be advised that an addendum was provided with a revised site plan. The project itself would allow to construct a harvesting facility in an A district. Again, the addendum staff report that was provided to your commission is a site plan layout to show that the project is in full compliance with the various development standards in the county. The recommendation has not changed. At this time, the staff recommendation is to approve in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. The next case on the consent calendar this evening is case number 3. This is specific plan amendment number 23, map 232. The applicant is SunPower Corporation Systems. Project is located at 38874 Holiday Avenue in the Rosamond area. The request before your commission is to amend the circulation element of the Willow Springs specific plan to remove section and midsection line road reservations within section 21, township 9 north, range 14 west, San Bernardino baseline meridian, which would include the east-west midsection line from and including 140th Street West, east to and including 130th Street West. B, the north-south midsection line from but accepting Rosamond Boulevard south to and including Astoria Avenue. And C, the north-south northwest section line from but accepting Rosamond Boulevard south to and including Astoria Avenue. The purpose of this request, it would be allow for the placement of approved solar panels throughout the parcel without requirements for internal setbacks. The staff recommendation is to advise your commission to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to adopt the Section 15091 findings of fact and adopt the Section 15093 statement of overriding considerations adopt the mitigation measure monitoring program, approving the specific plan amendment as requested, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. The next item on consent is case number 4. This is specific plan amendment number 24, map 232. The applicant for this case is SGS Antelope Valley Development, LLC. This project is located on 14874 Holiday Avenue in Rosamond. This also is a project to amend the circulation element of the Willow Springs specific plan to remove section and midsection line road reservations, this time within section 20 of Township 9 North, range 14 West, San Bernardino baseline meridian. The project includes amendments to A, the north-south midsection line at 145th Street West between Holiday Avenue and Astoria Avenue. B, the east-west midsection line from Astoria Avenue between 145th Street West and east to 140th Street West. And C, the north-south southeastern section line. This is at 140th Street West between Holiday Avenue and Astoria Avenue. This request would also allow the placement of approved solar panels to be located throughout the parcel without requirements for internal setbacks. The staff recommendation is to advise your commission to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to adopt the Section 15091 findings of fact and the Section 15093 statement of overriding considerations, adopt the mitigation measure monitoring program, approving the specific plan amendment as requested, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the staff resolution. The next case on the consent is case number 5. This is the Tejon Mountain Village Special Plan 2017A project. The applicant is Tejon Mountain Village, LLC. This project is located on the east side of Interstate 5, approximately 40 miles south of Bakersfield in the unincorporated area of Kern County. The specific request before your commission is to amend the text of the adopted Tejon Mountain Village Special Plan. As currently adopted, the TMV Special Plan authorizes the development of 3,050 single-family dwelling units and up to an additional 400 multifamily units, with total residential units not to exceed 3,450. The proposed request would authorize the identified 400 multifamily dwelling units to be converted on a one-to-one basis to single-family units for the purposes of meeting the project-specific development caps. If approved, the project would be authorized to construct a total of 3,450 residential units. Your commission did receive an addendum on this project this evening as well. Subsequent to distribution of the staff report, staff received 3 comment letters. We received a comment letter from Caltrans District 6. We received a comment letter from the East Kern Air Pollution Control District, and then we received a comment letter from the Department of Water Resources. Specifically, Caltrans wanted to note that the proposal could potentially increase peak hour trips, and they are requesting that the project impact be analyzed and, if necessary, appropriate mitigation measures be included to account for these potential additions. In response to that, staff notes that the project is required, as development occurs on site, to provide site-specific traffic impact studies that look at not only the existing situation, but what the proposed track map or commercial development would be. The EIR analyzed 3,450 residential units. There are 10 mitigation measures specifically identified to address traffic impacts. And any of the concerns identified by Caltrans will be addressed as part of the applicant's requirements through the EIR to prepare additional additional traffic studies as project development occurs on the site to ensure that the project is being mitigated as required and as deemed necessary by Caltrans. Regarding the comment received from Eastern Kern Air Pollution Control District, staff does note that approximately 59 acres are located within their jurisdictional boundaries. However, those are the areas that is not necessarily proposed for any residential development or any commercial development. With that being said, staff acknowledges that should any development be proposed within those areas, the applicant would absolutely be subject to any of the district rules and requirements as identified. There are also many mitigation measures designed to reduce air quality impacts as part of the environmental impact report, and those are being met through San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District conversations and through the mitigation measures which they are administering. Finally, the comment letter received from the Department of Water Resources wanted to just make note and identify that there are some of their facilities that traverse the project site, and any proposed development in or adjacent to their facilities would be required to go through appropriate permits through their district. The project is not proposed to be developed on anywhere outside the existing proposed development envelope. The applicant is aware of these requirements and all those will be followed in accordance with state law. Based on that, staff believes that the existing EIR is still appropriate, and all of the impacts have been evaluated, and all appropriate mitigation measures are identified to address the concerns. The recommendation before your commission has not changed. The recommendation is to advise the Planning Commission to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to adopt the Section 15091 findings of fact, adopt the Section 15093 statement of overriding considerations, adopt the mitigation measure monitoring program, approving the text amendments to the Tejon Mountain Village special plan as requested, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. The next item on consent is case number 6. This is conditional use permit number 16, map 200-6. The applicant for this case is AT&T Mobility by Yukon Group. This request would allow an 80-foot tall wireless communication tower and associated equipment disguised as a monopine tree and other acceptable means to stealth the tower with the natural or built environment in an E1 RS district. This project is located at 17621 Ascourt in Tehachapi. An addendum has been provided to your commission. Upon our final review, staff identified that the project will be required to set back 96 feet from the adjacent property that is zoned residential. Therefore, based on that, staff is recommending that condition 2 be modified. Additional language has been provided to your commission. The language that has been added specifically identifies that a building permit cannot be issued until such time as the site plan has been provided that meets all of the required setback standards that are located within the Kern County zoning ordinance. So with that, we do have a revised recommendation before your commission. The staff recommendation is to approve the conditional use permit in accordance with the recommended revised conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. Case number 7 this evening is conditional use permit number 12, map 23833. The applicant is AT&T Mobility by Velterra Services. This project is located at 6700 Lakewood Drive in the Fraser Park area. This project would allow a 75-foot tall tower wireless communication facility with the associated equipment shelter. This one will be disguised as a bell tower in an E20 GH district. The staff recommendation is to approve conditional use permit in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. The next item before your commission is case number 8. This is conditional use permit number 65, map 142. This applicant is Rajpal Singh. Case number 8, there has been a member of the audience that wishes to pull that off consent, so staff would recommend that that case be considered in its regular order and pulled off the consent calendar. Case number 9, this is zone change case number 40, map 102-29. The applicant is the Kern County Public Works Department. This case also, staff has been informed that there is a resident in the audience that would like to make some comments. Therefore, staff is recommending that case number 9 also be pulled off the consent calendar and heard in its regular order. Case number 10, this is zone change case number 189, map 101, agricultural preserve number 10, requesting an inclusion. The applicant is Stockdale Palm LP by John Romanini. This project is located at 18910 Stockdale Highway on the north side of Stockdale Highway and the east side of Greeley Road in the Bakersfield area. There are 2 items before your commission. The request is a change in zone classification from A1 to A, or a more restrictive district, and B, the inclusion of approximately 36.21 acres within the boundaries of Ag Preserve. The staff recommendation is to advise your commission to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to approve the zone change as requested, approve the inclusion as requested, adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. And finally, the last item on consent this evening is tract number 7233, extension of time. The applicant is BMC Touchstone LLC by McIntosh and Associates. The project is located on the northeast corner of Rudd Avenue and Noriega Road in the Bakersfield area. This request is an extension of time for a period of 3 years for vesting tentative tract map number 7233, which proposed to divide a 40.06 acre site into 129 lots ranging in size from 7,662 square feet to 16,578 square feet for single-family residential use, a 1.05 acre sump lot, a 2.68 acre drill site lot, development variations to the land division ordinance to allow lot frontage less than 30 feet on a cul-de-sac, to allow the elimination of curb, gutter, and sidewalk improvements along the existing Rudd Avenue alignment, and to allow the elimination of the landscaping requirement along the existing Road Avenue alignment with 2 limited design variations. The staff recommendation is to adopt the mitigation measure monitoring program, approving a 3-year extension of time to expire April 19th, 2020, subject to the original conditions of approval, and adopt the original findings as set forth in Resolution 6914. That completes the reading of the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. For those of you in the audience, you've heard the reading of the consent calendar this evening with the exceptions of number 8 and 9. Does anyone else want to have an item or an application removed because of questions or concerns? If you do, we will pull it from the consent calendar and hear it in its regular order. Yes, ma'am. Which item? Item 10. Item 10? Okay. Anyone else would like? Yes, ma'am.
CA5, CA6, CA7.
I didn't quite hear you. Could you say that one more time?
Yes, CA5, CA6, CA7.
5, 6, and 7.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Anyone else? Any commissioners? Ms. Poole?
I don't want to take anything else off consent, but for purposes of the record, I wanted to disclose that I met with the representatives of Watts Chopping, consent item 1.
Thank you.
Chairman, I did as well.
Okay, thank you. So we have 5, 6, 7.
But with that, I would make a motion to approve the items on the consent calendar, which I guess leaves 3, 4,
1.
oh, sorry, 1, 3, 4, and 11?
I'll second that motion.
Cast your votes.
Go ahead. All ayes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I can read
Notice of appeal, please.
For projects where the Planning Commission action is final, actions are subject to appeal to the Board of Supervisors by any interested person, and no development proposed by any application may be authorized until the final date of appeal. For case number 1, an appeal may be filed with the Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department located at 2700 M Street, Suite 100, at Bakersfield, with a filing fee of $540 on forms available at the Planning and Natural Resources Department. The filing must be made within 14 days of and including the date of this hearing. For case number 11, which is a tract, for tract maps, an appeal must be filed within 10 days from the date of decision of the Planning Commission. Any such appeal must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $540. If no appeal is received, the action of the Planning Commission is final. There is no right of appeal for projects for which the Planning Commission action is advisory to action required by the Kern County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Which brings us to item F, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address this commission on any matter not on the agenda this evening, but over which the commission has jurisdiction. Would anyone wish to address the commission?
You're taking each item separate.
Yes, but we're gonna, would you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Julie Solis, Solis. And I'm here tonight again, which I plan on being to every single one. Mr. Murphy, I haven't heard back from him yet from over a week ago when I sent him an email. My concern here is valley fever. When I look in here, I see permits to dig, drill sites, new everything. Like, where's valley fever at in all this? You guys, I don't know if you guys up here are aware or not, but we're in a really, really horrible situation with the drought, then the water, then the drought, then now we've had all this recent water, now we have this heat, now we have fungus growing like crazy. There's an elderly lady as we speak taking her last breaths right now. Last week, a young boy here in Bakersfield lost his life. People are sick, people are dying, and we don't even have correct numbers recorded. In April, they said 1,905 people were diagnosed with valley fever. And then just this past week, a few days ago, they said over 2,300. So we can't even get correct numbers on these people that are ill, but yet we continually hand out these permits to keep causing this disease like it's candy. I mean, do you guys not see the importance of valley fever? I mean, really, Ms. Poole, do you know about valley fever and the impact that it's having on our community? You know, Mr. Louie, are you aware of valley fever and the impact that it's having on our community? Mr. Barber, I mean, I don't know if you know or not, today marks 9 years that they said my husband was dying. They offered chaplain services. Miss Garcia, they told me your husband's going to die tonight. Do you have a directive? By the grace of God, he still lives. He's alive today, but living with cocci meningitis for 9 years has taken a toll. And he's not the only one. There's thousands. It's actually countless because we cannot even get proper numbers. And I don't see anywhere in all of this any concern with valley fever. Now, my concern is not so much with the digging because, see, before my husband became disabled, he was a truss designer. So our bread and butter, everything we purchased, our multiple homes, our multiple cars, our vacations, our savings were all from new construction money. So I'm for that. But while we're digging, shouldn't we be alerting, letting people know? That's my concern. My concern is not that we're digging, it's the way that we're being sneaky and continually keeping this a secret. I tried to get a hold of Mr. Murphy through email, which he told me, and then he hasn't returned it. So I'm like, I'm going to get louder and louder every time. Like, people are sick and dying, and you guys just sit here handing out permits like nothing. I mean, that's unexcusable. That's embarrassing. People are sick and dying, and you guys don't even care. You're just like, charges for permit. Go ahead, dig. As long as you got money, it doesn't matter. When they did the 178 up by the canyon, 3 people in one neighborhood got ill, and they were all elderly residents of Kern County their whole life. Okay, valley fever is real, it's prevalent, it's common, and you guys just don't care, and I find that a really big issue. I mean, when are we going to bring up valley fever as a topic? When are we going to see the importance of it? That's my question here today. Mr. Murphy, I'd appreciate for you to send me an email back. Thank you, enjoy your evening. I'll be back up for the consent items. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, if I can respond to some of that real quick.
Certainly.
Yeah, Ms. Solis, I do apologize for not getting back to you. I was actually not in the office for the part of this week, and so I did receive your email. Your email requested discussions regarding the Kern County General Plan. I apologize, I did not know you had any concerns regarding a specific project before this commission this evening. Again, I was not available to return all of my phone calls, and I will absolutely meet with you to discuss your valley fever concerns regarding the Kern County General Plan update as we discussed last Thursday, or the Planning Commission when you were here.
Anyone else like to take advantage of item F before we proceed? Okay, it takes us to public hearings. Item G.
Chairman, I have a quick question, if it's okay.
Certainly, go ahead.
Mr. Hall, through the chair, I have to leave at 7:45 tonight, and so if we cannot get to an item, fully through an item in order to vote on it, should I leave now, or can I stay until 7:45?
You can stay till 7:45 if you have to leave before the vote of the item.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
Just your vote won't be counted towards that item.
Okay.
All right. Takes us to the items that were pulled off consent, and we begin with item number 5. And would that person please come forward that requested item 5 to be pulled from the consent? Oh, excuse me. Would you mind having a seat first, sir? Could we have a staff presentation on this item? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I think that your commission, through the consent reading, has a good understanding of what the proposed project is. Again, the project would authorize the conversion of 400 identified multifamily lots to be converted to single-family lots as part of the Tejon Mountain Village specific and special plan and implementation of the special plan. That is the request that is before your commission. I would note that this project, a full and complete EIR, was prepared by staff and certified, considered by this commission, recommended for certification, and certified by the Kern County Board of Supervisors back in 2010. That EIR included a very complete analysis of valley fever, what the potential impacts are. The project itself had many discussions on what valley fever is, what the concerns are. This project, through its mitigation, is required to prepare full dust completion and dust management plans that have to be considered and approved by the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. Kern County staff takes the concern over valley fever seriously, and we have incorporated all appropriate mitigation measures to not only protect any surrounding residents of potential valley fever impacts when a project may or may not be constructed, but also the workers that are on site. They have to go through training, they have to be notified and noticed about the potential impacts of valley fever. Project workers are offered masks and other respiratory things should they choose to utilize them. It is very customary that we have notifications that are sent out to all residents within 1,000 feet before any construction activities are to take place, so that residents know that construction may or may not happen in this particular time and date. So if they don't want to be at their place of business or at their homes, they can choose to be somewhere else during that time if they are concerned for valley fever. I would just note that, again, this project and the item before your commission is the conversion of 400 multifamily units to potential single-family residential units, and a complete environmental analysis was done on this project that looked at valley fever and determined that all appropriate measures are in place. That completes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Okay, the person that wanted this item pulled off consent, would you please come down now? Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
Julie Solis, S-O-L-I-S. It sounds really good to say you have all this plan implementation, but we're talking about really telling people. On the corner of Coffee and Stockdale, there's this huge construction site, and the apartments behind it, there's a little boy that's 3 years old that's suffering with valley fever. I have photos I can show you. He can't even stand up and walk because his body is so sore, and he's 3 years old. So I find it ironic that he says they send out notices and they do, oh, we care so much. No, they don't. The lady never got a notice, and her son is 3 and is not even able to walk around. So it's, a hard pill for me to want to swallow, saying you guys are looking out for people when I, for a fact, know you guys are not. I went to that work site. I have informed them of valley fever. I did give them some flyers and some information, but they had not been trained. The workers there had not been trained on valley fever. fever. So what he was saying that they, do, no, really they don't. It may say here they do, but in real life, they're not. They're not informing the people. And I find a really big problem with that. Like I said, it has nothing to do with construction. But you know how when you go and there's a huge old sign and it says like, project paid for by Bank of America. Okay, why can't we have one about valley fever up there? That's what I want to talk to him about. Why are we not telling people? If you're diagnosed early, you'll be all right. After my husband almost died, my daughter started displaying symptoms and I got her tested. Right away, she started medication and she didn't even miss a day of school being ill. And my husband is dying slowly. That's what the difference is. If you know and we tell people, they can get help right away. It's that we're keeping secrets to make money and people are dying. That's my issue. So every time there's digging, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to speak. I don't mind if you dig, but how dare you guys just not tell people? That's not right. And that's all I have to say about this one. I'll be back for the others. Thanks.
I think Ms. Poole had a question, comment.
Just a question for staff. It might be helpful to clarify. I'm assuming that the project that Ms. Solis is speaking about is not within the jurisdiction of the Kern County Planning Commission based on the location. The other thing that might be helpful when you get, Craig, when you get back, Mr. Murphy, sorry, when you get back to Ms. Solis, is maybe we can send her the sections of the air quality analysis for the Tejon project, and she can take a look at the analysis that's been done specific to valley fever.
Thank you, Commissioner Poole. I was trying to verify. I believe that Stockdale and Coffee could be located within the boundaries of the city of Bakersfield. I can't confirm that right now. I have not been able to pull up the map specifically. The other thing I would just like to note is, your commission may or may not have seen in the paper, the Kern County Environmental Health Department has started a campaign where they are actually going out and putting billboards up about valley fever. They are proposing to have a campaign to help raise additional awareness within the community about valley fever. We have had conversations with Mr. Constantine about how planning and potential projects may or may not be able to incorporate some of the funding for that as part of our mitigation measures. That is something that we are currently evaluating. But there is a public campaign. The county has dedicated staff that work on valley fever specifically and routinely make presentations and provide members of our community with the appropriate information when they have it.
I have a quick question for Ms. Solis. Ms. Solis, thank you for coming out tonight. What is it that you would like to see done? Since you're indicating that every single project that comes
Yes.
before us, you're going to ask to talk about. What is it that you would like to see?
All I want is valley fever up. He said the public health department's doing billboards. They haven't done anything for 2 decades. It's because I started showing up
Ma'am,
that they're doing stuff.
But
But what I
please,
want,
ma'am,
yes.
I need you to state your name for the record
Okay, I'm
again.
sorry. Julie Solis, Solis.
Thank you.
And like I was saying, there's not been one billboard up for over 20 years. I started pestering and they started doing valley fever billboards. So I found that if you're, start showing up and start saying, hey, Ms. Poole, what are you doing for us? Your job is to protect us and you're not. Then hopefully she's going to remember me and say, oh man, what can we do for valley fever? You might not be, and Ms. Garcia might not know, people are sick and dying. So I'm here to say people are sick and dying. So every time you vote and stamp to approve a project, you must know that there will be casualties. There will be dollars made and there will be lives lost. So that's what I see, a vision for valley fever is, like I said, they put up a big sign advertising their bank and all where their funds are. Why can't we have one about valley fever awareness? Something simple. Sick, fever, cough, ask your doctor. Valley fever, that's it. I'm not asking for the world. I'm not even asking for any financial money. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just asking, put up a sign, let people know, hey, this dig site, valley fever. That's it. If they read it, they read it. If they don't, they don't. That's on them. But if had I seen the sign, because I read everything I see, had I seen that sign, I would have read it. And then during the 6 months that my husband was dying slowly, I would have asked to get tested for valley fever. But because I didn't know about it, and we were in a new homes of Zach Scrivener's district, they were building Horizon Elementary across the street. We were all excited about an elementary school in our new track. Now, I don't know where he got the valley fever from. It could have been at work. It could have been at home. It could have been from the school. But regardless, there was not one sign anywhere. And all that I want is just signs. Let people know. That's it.
Mr.
Matt, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Murphy, do you think you could get together with Ms. Solis? If you would, Ms. Solis, get together with Mr. Murphy, and Mr. Murphy can explain to you the other avenues for getting your message out there and maybe what the planning department has already done to try to get that message out there. Would that work for you?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
In my email, I told him that I have a very flexible schedule.
Okay, so Mr.
and I'd
Murphy,
be
you
able
can
to
do
meet
that.
with
Get together with Ms. Solis, and hopefully that
Absolutely, I'd
can,
be happy to.
And
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
I had one comment, Ms. Elise.
Yes, sir.
Not every project site may or may not contain the spores. So to put signage up on every project in Kern County is going to be problematic. I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but it's something that the planning department is going to have to work on to determine how effective it would be and how appropriate it would be, because you don't want to name sites that don't contain the spores versus sites that may contain the spores.
And I completely agree. We can do soil samples. You know, when they're going through all this process, they can
That
do
is-
several soil samples
That
and
is-
check.
That is part of the process that they go through when they determine they're going through the EIR process.
Yes, but currently as it is, whether there's valley fever or not, that's not stopping them. They're still digging, they're still moving. So my concern is that there's no signage, there's no warning. You know, that, like I told you, the lady that lives in the apartments behind Coffee and Stockdale, you know, her 3-year-old, he went over 2 months misdiagnosed. She passes that corner
That-
every
that-
day, no signs.
We have no jurisdiction over that, ma'am.
I was just using that as an example. You know,
Okay.
once with that
Okay.
Highway 178, 3
Thank-
elderly people all got valley fever when they
Thank
were
you.
repairing there.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. Okay, commissioners, we need to take action on number 5.
Motion to approve item number 5 is read into the record.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
All ayes.
Thank you. Brings us to item number 6. Who is the individual that asked for number 6 to be pulled from the calendar? Please come up. Please state your name for the record.
Julie Solis, Solis. Once again, here we go with, you know, they want to do all this digging for a profitable cell tower, communication tower. I find that appalling. You know, if there's valley fever anywhere in that area that's going to be disturbed, it should automatically be turned down. We need to start putting lives before profits. This is unnecessary, it's not needed, and I feel that we need to see the soil samples of negative valley fever before we dig.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, action on item 6.
Motion to approve number 6 is read into the record.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
All ayes.
Thank you. Item 7. Individual that asked for number 7 to be pulled. Please again state your name for the record.
Julie Solis, S-O-L-A-S. Even though you're going to pass it because you want your profits, I'm still going to say it. Ms. Poole, when people get sick, I'm going to tell them you voted. Mr. Louie, when people get sick, you know I'm singing your name like a birdie. So aren't you, Mr. Babcock? And Ms. Garcia, too, okay? When I go home today, I'm going to tell everybody that you're putting profits over people's health. Like I said in the other ones, before we dig, we need to be very, very careful. Our dirt is deadly. We need to treat it as that. When they said my husband had valley fever, people came in all covered up, scared of him. But then yet you come out to the work sites where you can make a lot of money, and then it's like nobody cares out there. So the discrepancy between the way they treat valley fever in the scientific world and then the way that you guys just disregard it in Kern County is just embarrassing. I urge you guys to not approve this until you see that all the soil samples in that dirt that are going to be disturbed are negative for cocci. So until those soil samples say negative for cocci, there should be no digging there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve item number 7.
What?
Oh, wait.
Hang on one second. I have, sir, would you like to come up?
Yes, Vance Pomeroy, representing AT&T. We've had an opportunity to look at the conditions and agree with staff's recommendations, but I wanted to add that I believe AT&T would be interested to entertain the possibility of discussion, at least, of a uniform standard condition regarding valley fever activities and mitigation, as long as it's a countywide standard. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, action on item 7.
Motion to approve item number 7 is read into the record.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
All ayes.
Item 8. The person or persons that asked for item 8 to be pulled from the consent calendar, could you please come forward?
Mr. Chairman, just because this was identified by staff,
Yes,
had
would
not
you-
prepared or provided anybody in the audience with a summary of what the proposed request is. So before you
Yes.
hear, because that has not been done in this particular case, I would recommend staff give a quick summary of what the proposed action is before your
Certainly, I
commission.
was just about to ask for that, so thank you, Mr. Murphy. All right, will you be doing that?
I'd be happy to, unless Mr. Denny wants to present the case in more detail.
I have no problem with Mr. Murphy providing a brief summary as the proposal it is, and then after taking whatever testimony, I can provide clarification to expedite consideration, as this project was on the consent agenda.
Okay, Mr. Murphy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, would you have a seat? We're going to have a brief staff presentation on this application, and then I'll invite you up.
Okay, this is conditional use permit number 65, map 142. The applicant is Rashpal Singh. This project is located at 11354 Wyville Road, the southwest corner of Wyville Road and Ingle Road in the Bakersfield area. The request before your commission tonight is a modification of conditional use permit number 65, map 142, which allowed an agricultural trucking facility for a temporary period of 2 years. Currently requesting to amend condition 7 to allow the permanent entitlement of the existing agricultural trucking facility in an A district. The staff recommendation is to adopt a mitigation measure monitoring program approving modification of conditional use permit number 65, map 142, subject to the original conditions of approval with the amendment of conditions 3A, 3D, 3H, 3J, 4A, 4B, 4G, 4H, 5E, 5G, 5K, and 7 as recommended by staff, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. I would note for your commission, Condition number 7 is the condition that specifically addresses the potential permanent retention of this facility. The modifications to the other conditions were simply to change department names as departments have changed over time. And given the fact that this request was up before your commission, staff felt it was important to make sure that all the appropriate naming was identified in the conditions so that the applicant would know who exactly to talk to should they need to. That completes the reading of the project.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Sir, would you please come forward? State your name for the record and spell your last name, please.
My name is Richard Alec, A-L-L-E-C.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I just have a short, what the problem is, I'm the house right next to this trucking company. And originally, the county, he was supposed to install an electric standby power source, utilize transportation refrigeration units on trailers while trucks are parked at the project site. What happens now, and for quite a few years, I can't sleep because they run the diesel engines all night to cool the produce. And you get 3 or 4 trucks in there, and my house, well, where he parked some of the truck, one time, I have pictures there, it was parked within 50 feet of my house, and it ran Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, the truck left. That's all I'm asking. I don't, if he wants to have a business there, that's fine. I'm just saying, I have some rights too, the right to sleep. And it was in the original thing and in the original document by the county, and he's had 2 years to install it. I've called in, once I called in, and I was referred to the Codes and Regulations Department, then they referred me back to planning. Well, I retired from the city of Morgan Hill, and I was on the finance committee, and government workers are overworked and underpaid, so I'm not gonna, be on the phone all day long, taking up their valuable time, or even your valuable time. All I want, I knew that this meeting would come up, is I just want what was put in the original document, that he install it. He's had 2 years to do it. Then, there's a trucking company across the street. They have 51 trucks. They're very professional. I have no problem with them. When they pull in, they turn their trucks off. They take care of their dust. Their property is weed-free. I've got pictures there of how he keeps his property. When weeds get 4 foot tall, that's a little much. I don't mind if you weed your weeds down, but we shouldn't create unsightly things in the county. That's not right. That's not what we're here for. So he needs to clean it up. He's got a trash bin over there that was supposed to put in. It's in the thing too. There's never been a trash bin put in there. The cement enclosure's there. You look at the picture, you'll see trash thrown on the ground there. There's truck tires on the ground at times. They do mechanic work right next to my house because I have a tall hedge and it gives them shade. These are things that it's not run professionally. And that's all I'm asking is that the noise, I be able to sleep at night and at least keep the property halfway decent. And what I don't understand is he has a property, 20 acres, truck yard that's, it's between the 99 on Pacheco Road and Cottonwood Road, which is about 8 miles from this place. Now he has 20 acres there. Why doesn't he move there? I don't understand why he needs that 1 acre. That doesn't make sense business-wise to me. I mean, the excuse I get is, well, I have truck drivers that live close to there. Well, 8 miles, you're not asking somebody to drive 20, 30 miles to go to the other truck yard. That truck yard has no houses around it. It's out in the middle of agricultural fields, and it would be ideal for him. Another problem I have is, and I don't see how this is overlooked, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but there's no bathroom facilities on the site. He's got a rental there, they're gone. There should be at least a porta potty. I mean, they urinate in my hedge when they have to go. That doesn't seem right to me, that you wouldn't have at least a porta potty for your men to go to the bathroom. I mean, it's a business. I run a nursery, and I have to have these facilities, and I have to have more than a porta potty, you know, and all I'm asking for is just a porta potty there. So basically, what I really want is, you know, is that the property to be halfway decent, not so it doesn't bring down, shouldn't bring down, something shouldn't be put in to bring down property values. That's not right. Don't mind the trucking company being there, keep it clean, but I should be able to sleep at night. And they shouldn't, it's against the law to run a diesel engine parked 24 hours. I mean, I can go to the clean air, you know. But I don't do that, because I go to the clean air, he's gonna get fined.
Sir, I have questions of staff. I understand your concerns. So let me ask some questions of staff, and we'll see where we can go with this, okay?
Yeah,
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you.
I will turn to staff, maybe refresh our memory on,
All I'm saying is, I don't want permanent status until he would put that in, that was in the original thing.
I will get to the applicant.
Thank you.
Before we get to the applicant, can you refresh our memory on the conditions on this project?
Commissioner Babcock, the adjacent property owner is correct. Every issue that he cited are part of the standard conditions of approval for trucking operations.
Okay.
There is a condition that specifies, as he appropriately stated, that an electric standby ES power source shall be utilized for the transport refrigeration units on trailers while trucks are parked on the site. TRUs should not use their diesel generators while parked on site unless an emergency situation exists. If the applicant or the operator of this facility is using the diesel trucks, he's in non-compliance with his conditions of approval.
Okay.
There are conditions of approval requiring a garbage enclosure with a gate, and I believe the staff report indicated that there was an enclosure, but there was not a gate front on it. There are also conditions of approval that specify that water supply and sewage disposal will be as approved by the health department. You did approve a trucking operation within a mile to the north here on the north side of 119 on the east side of Weibel Road, where your commission specifically recognized that there would be truck drivers coming and going, and they needed a porta potty to relieve themselves, as there were no facilities in the area. Other conditions that I believe heard the adjacent property owner speak of, discuss how repairs are supposed to be on site. Truck maintenance and minor repairs to occur within a maintenance shop between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. If they're not occurring in a maintenance shop, they're not being done properly. So, while the applicant may be asking for permanency, this application was delayed in coming to your commission. He did ask in a timely manner, but there was confusion at the time that it was applied for, whether to simply add for an additional 2 years of time, and it got modified into a request for permanency. There were changes in staff planners, so this case was not appropriately managed by staff to the degree that I would have liked to seen it. We did go out and take a look at some of these issues because of the concerns that were raised. that caused a delay. I believe that the conditions do exist based on all the experience that we've had with trucking operations to address the adjacent property owners' concerns. And if your commission believes that the implementation has not occurred yet properly, you could deny the request for permanency and grant them additional time under a temporary permit simply by changing the date.
Thank you, Mr. Denny. Would the applicant please come forward? Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
My name is Rishpal Singh, R-A-S-H-P-A-L, last name Singh, S-I-N-G-H. I got a little language problem. I like to be, Mr. Russell can help me.
Certainly.
Thank you.
So, Russell Johnson, Common Sense Consulting on behalf of the applicant. We discussed in the lobby prior to the proceedings this evening that his item might be pulled off consent. Due to the allegations from the neighbor and the applicant wanting to be a good neighbor, he's requesting that if your commission doesn't feel that the conditions of approval are stringent enough tonight, that you grant a 1-month continuance, so he work with his neighbor to be able to continue to make sure that he is a good working neighbor with his surrounding adjacent property owners. If not, he does feel that the conditions of approval are adequate enough, but if your commission feels that more time is needed, he's willing to work with his neighbors. Thanks. And he does appreciate your patience with his language barrier. Thank you.
Ms. Poole? Sir, would you please come back up? I believe Ms. Poole has a question.
I actually don't have a question, but if the applicant is willing to work with his neighbor, it seems like we should give them the time to try to work these things out. It sounds like there are some questions about conditions and the meeting of those conditions, and if you're willing to continue this, that seems like the best result. So I'd move to continue item 8.
I tend to agree with you, Ms. Poole. However, I'm very disappointed. You've had 2 years to get into compliance, and there's no excuses for your behavior on how you've operated your business. So if we're going to continue this for 1 month, I expect to see significant changes in your operation.
Thank you.
Or there's a chance that, depending on how the commission sees it, if they agree with what I'm saying, you could lose your permit. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, looks like we have a motion to continue this for 1 month. Oh, Ms. Garcia.
I'm okay. I agree with the rest of my fellow commissioners. I think that the continuance will give you a chance to communicate with your neighbor, and also make sure that you're in compliance. It's really important to be a good neighbor and also to take pride in your business. And these requirements are just that. They're base requirements on how to run a business, and also be a good part of a responsible member of the community. So I hope that you two can meet and work out these issues, and I hope that all of the conditions that were placed before you the first time you came before this commission are met by then.
Okay, we have a motion to continue for 1 month. Do I have a second?
Second.
Cast your votes.
3 ayes, 1 absent.
Thank you. Item number 9. Who is the individual that asked that item 9 be pulled from the consent? Could we have a staff, would you have a seat down here in front, sir? And we're going to get a brief staff report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Case number 9, this is zone change case number 40, map 102-29. The applicant is the Kern County Public Works Department. The project is located at 2500, 2510, and 2520 Callaway Drive, approximately 250 feet southeast of the intersection of Rosedale Highway and Callaway Drive in the Bakersfield area. The specific request is a change in zone classification from R1 to C1 PD and from R2 to C2 PD, or a more restrictive district. This project, and this site specifically, is located adjacent to the existing Callaway Drive widening project currently undertaken by the Kern County Public Works Department. The Kern County Public Works Department has acquired these parcels as part of that widening project. As the widening project requires the construction of some additional turn lanes, the Public Works staff came to the Planning Department to determine whether a rezone of those parcels were appropriate. Staff looked, given the fact that the lot configuration could be changed, the R2 zoning might not be the most appropriate designation, given the right-of-way that would have to be provided to accommodate the widening project. Therefore, through our consultation, staff determined that an appropriate request would be the one that is before you. I would note that the project before your commission tonight is the change in zone classification only. That is the project by which your commission has authority over. The widening project is not before your commission tonight. I do know as part of that project, there were some concerns from adjacent residents as to access to their site and their property. I do know that we have representatives from the Public Works staff that can answer those questions should they come up tonight. But I do know that all appropriate access to adjacent properties as a result of the widening project have been deemed appropriate by Kern County Public Works staff. With that being said, again, the only action before your commission has to do specifically with the change in zone classification. The staff recommendation is to advise your commission to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to approve the zone change as requested and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. That completes the project presented by staff.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Sir, would you please come up, state your name for the record, and spell your last name?
My name is Matt Morris, Morris, and I do have some concerns about the, going in and out of my property too, but that's not my reason for being here today as well. I own the property near the corner of Callaway and Highway 58 or Rosedale Highway. I was aware some time back that the county purchased these 3 lots. And I knew that the county wanted to widen the road for a right turn lane from Callaway to Rosedale Highway, improve traffic flow, which definitely is needed. I've tried to get information from the County Public Works Department about the property that would remain, these 3 lots, after the turn lane is built, but I've been unable to obtain any written information despite numerous requests. I first spoke with a planner in the Planning and Natural Resources who directed me to an employee with the county title of the real property agent in the roads department. I asked him about purchasing the property. He said that it had already been sold and it is an escrow. When I asked him why it hadn't come to the public to purchase, he said the property was worth less than $25,000 and that they are not required to make available for public purchase. He said that an appraisal was done on the property and that's what they used for the sales price. I followed up with a call after I had, a few days had gone by and spoke again with the real property agent asking for a copy of
Sir, what does this have to do with this application?
I've got a few questions, if I could get through.
Well, right now, we are discussing this application. If you have questions regarding other concerns, that should be taken up with the county, and we're not here tonight to discuss that. We're here tonight to discuss item number 9.
Okay.
So if
Okay,
you
if you will give me a little leeway.
If you will focus your attention on why you asked for number 9 to be pulled off consent, I will allow you to continue. But we're not here to discuss other properties. It has nothing to do with item number 9.
Okay, if you'll give me just a second to continue, I will get to my point. These 3 parcels I've been told by the Public Works representative that they are not being sold and that they are being given to the property owner on the corner. And is that correct, Mr. Denny? Because I can't get any, I just needed to come on the record because I can't get anything from the,
Sir, I would suggest that you make an appointment and go in and talk to the appropriate person. And this is not the time or the place for discussion of this nature. We're here discussing item number 9. Now, why did you want it pulled off consent?
because it is being deeded to somebody else without going through the proper, at least under my understanding, going through the proper procedures of a sale, and the zone is being changed and given to somebody else without it going on the market or being up for an auction.
Does staff have a comment?
Commissioner Babcock, the Planning Department's involvement with this request is the evaluation of a request from the County Public Works Department with regards to a change in zone classification. That's the limit of it.
That's all we're... Ms. Poole?
Well, sir, I can understand your frustration, and unfortunately, I don't think there's anybody in this room that can answer the questions you have right now.
Is Mr. Denny, are you part of the Public Works?
You're talking to the Planning and Natural Resources Department right now, unfortunately. So can I make a request, and I don't know who within staff that can work to direct this gentleman to the right person in Public Works and make sure he's getting to that right person? I mean,
This is my thing. I've been lied to. I've
Sir.
been misled.
Sir.
I just need something in the public record so that
Sir.
I can
No,
actually,
Sir,
I understand your concern, and I wish there was somebody here who could respond to that. And what I'd like to do is get staff to direct you to the right person within another county department that can hopefully answer your questions. Okay?
right now before us is a simple zone change, as Mr. Denny indicated. That's all before us on this item tonight.
Are there any volunteers from staff?
I think I marked the volunteer button. Mr. Maxwell with the Public Works Department is here tonight, and I believe he has information that would be of interest to Mr. Morris as far as who he can speak to about the situation.
Okay.
So we can get him pointed in the right direction.
Great.
Thank you very much.
And
Mr. Morris?
Who is Mr.
Mr. Murphy is right over there.
Maxwell?
Maxwell, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Maxwell is right there. Do you have any other comments regarding number 9? Apparently not. Okay. I think the two of them can get together and discuss this outside of this meeting. Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. Go ahead,
Chairman, if I
Mr.
could for a moment, it seems like the speaker would like to get something on the record here. But what he's wanting to get on the record is not in the purview of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission today is not taking final action. This item will go forward to the Board of Supervisors. So as far as getting something on the record, it sounds like he's having issues with multiple departments, and that would be the time to have that discussion if he's not getting any satisfaction between now and then.
Can I just add one thing? How? Matt
State your name.
Morris, Morris.
Thank you.
This already has gone before the Board of Supervisors, apparently.
No, it has not.
No.
Not the zone change, but the whole, the sale of this property or the escrow of the property, and it hasn't been made public other than I've done a lot of digging and found out that on April 25th, it went before the Board of Supervisors and was approved for the sale of the easement, which directly correlates with these 3 lots in the zone change. And so that's my whole thing, is I would like, just to be on the record that, that I'm opposed until we can find out if this is being done legally.
Chairman, if you'd indulge me again, the planning commission makes a recommendation to the board. The board is the one that will make the final determination of a zone change for this. You're asking questions that nobody in this room would know.
Okay. Thank you.
And as far as, I'm confused by the comment that it wasn't made public, but then it was part of a board meeting, because if it's part of a board of supervisors meeting, those agendas are public, all of that's there, it's noticed.
Well, there's a
So-
man named Tim Green that works for the roads department that had given me information, and it wasn't until I got that information, and matter of fact, today is the one when he told me that April 25th, it was a done deal, escrow's closed, and we're all the way through it. So, I mean, but again, I don't know how to get any more information. We'll try with Mr. Murphy, or Maxwell, excuse me.
Mr. Maxwell.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioners, action on item 9.
Motion to approve item 9.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
3 ayes, 1 absent.
Thank you. Brings us to item number 10. Who is the individual that would hold item 10? Okay, would you have a seat, ma'am, right there in the front row? Can we have a brief summary of this application, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was one item that I did present to your commission as part of the consent calendar, but I'd be happy to refresh your memory.
Okay.
Case number 10, this is zone change case number 189, map 101, agricultural preserve number 10, inclusion. The applicant is Stockdale Palm LP by John Romanini. The project is located at 18910 Stockdale Highway, north side of Stockdale Highway, and the east side of Greeley Road in the Bakersfield area. The requests before your commission tonight are a change in zone classification from A1 to A, or a more restrictive district, and B, the inclusion of approximately 36.21 acres within the boundaries of Ag Preserve. The request, or the recommendation by staff, is to advise your commission to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to approve the zone change as requested, approve inclusion as requested, adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution.
Thank you. Ma'am, would you please come forward, state your name for the record, and spell your last name, please?
Yes, my name's Nicole Arduin. It's Arduain. I am the property owner of the L-shaped lot within that site map.
Okay.
Okay? So the zone change is being proposed by Romanini and Stockdale Palm. I am the granddaughter also of Mr. Elizondo, my husband's grandfather, that owns the proposed site that they're looking at the zone change. So they're in the works of dealing with that. Mr. Romanini owns the entire farm of orchards to the left of my site, and I understand his intentions with continuing the orchards and the ag preserve. However, my parcel is 1.1 acre, which is substandard to what the county's proposed plan is for other projects there. So the move for Romanini now to put that into an ag preserve is going opposite direction of where my husband and I would want to see that property go. And the property is not Romanini's yet. It still belongs to the Elizondo Trust. And so we believe that for it to go from A1 to A at this time is not good. I would like to keep that parcel A1 for now. So I'm
Okay.
opposing the zone change.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all.
Any questions from commissioners? Ms. Garcia?
Why do you oppose it?
Well, first of all, it's, as on the different maps that I have here, it shows the general plan designations, and it shows the neighboring properties RIA that have been explained to me. And it just continues to show the assessor's parcelization map. And I think in the future, coming west that way, that property, that 36-acre property, could be potential development. It doesn't necessarily have to belong to an agriculture exclusive parcel and to an ag reserve. It doesn't have to go that route. So I'm opposing it today.
Thank
I don't,
you.
it's already zoned ag, it's already A1. That zone, A1, causes a lot of problems for me having a 1-acre parcel there. I'm substandard, my parcel is substandard to the norm. The only entity that can do any type of financing on an A1 is USDA loans, so I cannot get a traditional home loan on my home. So those were things that I ran into after building my home. But it's not necessarily here on the map. Also, I have city annexing that has happened right there at Nord and south of Stockdale, cities annexed there. So the potential for residential to come further my way is there. So by him taking the step from A1 to exclusive A is going to lock it into an agricultural preserve, and then the zone changes will be more difficult for me in the future. So until the property actually becomes Mr. Romanini's, I'm going to continue to oppose that zone change. The property is not Mr. Romanini's yet. It belongs to the Elizondos.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on item 10? Ms. Poole?
A couple of questions for staff. One for Mr. Hall to clarify for us, if you can, this issue of who the applicant is. And then also just a more technical question for staff about the practical implications of the zone change from A1 to A. Whatever order you want to go in. Thank you.
Well, to answer the first question, I too am troubled by somebody telling me that the applicant doesn't own the property. So I will need to talk with staff some to find out what the answer is to that before I can answer your other questions.
In order to process any application with the county as far as the planning department, you either have to own the property or have authorization, property owner authorization on the forms. This particular applicant, and until I get a look at the file here, has done that. They've either signed the application, submitted proof of ownership if it doesn't reflect that on the tax assessor records, or they've submitted documentation in the form of a statement that would state that the property owner, as shown on a grant deed, authorizes Stockdale Palm or John Romanini to act on their behalf to obtain the necessary zone change. The zone change in this request is being sought because there's a land division action, a lot line adjustment. A lot line adjustment is one of the simplest land division forms there is, and actually it's not even a division, it's the alteration or movement of a property line. However, one of the findings in approving a lot line adjustment is that the zoning and the general plan consistency exists. The A1 zone is inconsistent with the RIA map code. Therefore, in order to do the lot line adjustment, the zoning must be changed to A in order to approve the lot line adjustment. And again, as I repeat, in order to process the lot line adjustment and the zone change, the applicant either has to be the owner or has to submit documentation that they have owner authorization to the department in order for us to work on the project.
One other comment, and Mr. Denny, you can correct me too. A1 zoning allows for farming on a property. So if the biggest concern is specifically related to farming, whether a property is zoned A1 or A, farming can still take place on that particular property. So the request is more of one for consistency in this particular case to ensure that the general plan is consistent with the underlying zone classification.
The project inherently is for the land division action. They need the consistency in order to process the lot line adjustment. Mr. Murphy is correct. You can grow both in the A and in the A1. The differences between them ultimately could result in authorization of different lot sizes. The A1 has a minimum lot size of 2.5 acres. The A zone has a minimum lot size of 20 acres. The A1 zone is only really consistent with a large lot residential map code. The A1 zoning is inconsistent with the RA. The individual who spoke is probably the owner of what was a old home site parcel, the home site for farming operation.
Any other questions?
If I may again? Nicole Arduin, Arduain. So before we go ahead and vote on the zone change, I'd like to, at least, the lot line adjustment is supposed to be advantageous for me so that my parcel is not an L shape and in fact becomes a square rectangle so that my parcel is consistent with my neighboring parcels in the future, that my lot would become a 2.5 acre parcel. I don't have the communication of that. Mr. Romanini's intention was not to buy the complete area. There's another home that belongs to my grandfather, what's adjacent to me, on that parcel as well. There's supposed to be several lot line adjustments. I don't understand why it's relative to be consistent between A and A1 to make those lot line adjustments. Mr. Romanini can request his zone change when the parcel becomes his. I haven't requested zone change, and I have a problematic situation there. I'm the one in need of the lot line adjustments that they're referring to. I have been not notified of that at all.
Sounds like you may have a civil matter before you versus.
So I'd like to
something.
at least, put some brakes on this and continue it for a while until we get some more information. Mr. Romanini is not the owner of that property. And
Mr.
I'd like to
Babcock?
see documents signed by my grandfather to affirm that he has the consent to do that. My grandfather is very elderly and very ill in Los Angeles. I lived with him in his property while I built my home on the property next door. That property is being sold out from under him by his children. So I'm aware of what's going on there, but that property does not belong to Mr. Romanini now. And I'd like some information from the original owner of that property, Mr. Julian Elizondo Sr. So I need more information before I'm going to contest that still.
Mr. Denny?
With me tonight is Mr. Roque Nino, the supervising planner of the operations unit. He has this second indicated unable to attend tonight's hearing.
Commissioners?
Motion to approve item 10.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of item 10. Cast your votes, please.
3 ayes, 1 absent.
Thank you. Okay. This brings us to item H, which is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.